Yo. Welcome in, everyone. Today is November the 1st. New month. Hopefully, some new money coming in as well. Man, we got a recap of yesterday's games, and then we also got to talk about today's slate. This is Cashed It with Chris. I'm sorry. This is Cashed It with Chris, the NBA betting podcast or show. Be sure to check out Basketball Forever Podcast Network. It's a bunch of great guys doing some great work over there, different podcast platforms as well. So be sure to tap in with those guys over there. Let's see. And I appreciate you guys for being here early with me on a Tuesday morning. And let's first as always, we're going to be transparent about yesterday. Wasn't the greatest day. Definitely could have been better. We so I talked about taking I didn't give out any official plays on the morning show. Told you guys I just kind of wanted to see. I didn't really like the slate a lot yesterday. Also don't really like the slate a lot today either. But we're gonna talk about it. So first play up was De'Aaron Fox over 25.5 points. Got injured in the second quarter after having 8 in the first quarter. Came out, looked really, really good. And I talked about wanting to take Fox because Charlotte just struggles against guards, specifically against point guards. I think they'll rank 26th or 27th in points given up to the point guard position. And as soon as as soon as De'Aaron Fox left, we saw Davion Mitchell come in, just step right in and go crazy. He finished with 23 points, I think, and Sacramento was able to come back and win that game because they went down early. We saw Charlotte kind of fold, and that's the way I thought the game could go, which is why I wasn't official on taking Sacramento. Money did come in on Sacramento throughout the day, and that game opened at a pick, and it finished at Sacramento -3. I do think they're a better team. It was just a bad travel spot, which is why I didn't want to take them. Moving along, we also I gave out these. So for the show, I didn't give out any plays yesterday, but on the NBA Crispy Captain show, I did go official with De'Aaron Fox over 25.5 points. I also went official with the Bucks first quarter, first half trifecta spot. And that was a weird one. They won the first quarter, actually dominated the Detroit Pistons, who were in the second game of back-to-back with home road travel, which is one of the reasons why we wanted to fade them. But the Bucks actually they got a push for the first half because I think they were winning 60-52. And the spread was 8. So we won one, we lost one. I'm sorry, we won one, we got our money back on one. But then the Bucks actually, they did not look great. And I think it's more so a credit to Detroit. You know, Detroit they've done this to me twice. You expect them to come out and roll over. Dwayne Casey's coached those guys up, and even in a bad travel spot like they were in yesterday, they didn't look bad at all, man. I watched the second half of that game. They looked really good against that Milwaukee Bucks team. Cade Cunningham is fearless. Guys like let's see, Bogdanovich, he also played well. And then what's his name? Big Beef Stew, Isaiah Stewart, man. He looked really good against those bigs, which I thought I credit to Detroit, man. Just credit to Detroit. I thought that they played a lot better than they were supposed to. They said they're a scrappy team. That's a fact. They're real scrappy. So overall, that's one win with the Bucks first quarter, 2 losses with Fox and the Bucks full game, and then we got a push on the Bucks for the first half. So we're down about a unit. And if you're looking into those plays, and like I said, I didn't really like the slate. I did have a gut feeling that Atlanta would lose. Didn't like the travel spot for them, but didn't want to lay the 3.5 without Fred VanVleet, and they absolutely cleaned Atlanta up yesterday. Beat Atlanta by 30. We also saw Philly go into Washington and get a win even without Embiid. 118-111. Brooklyn got off the snide but didn't cover. They were 8-point favorites and only won by 7 against the Pacers in that rematch after they had lost the game before. And then Utah cleaned up Memphis. Memphis came out early and they looked okay. But Utah is actually really good, man. So I'm not looking to fade them anytime soon, especially when they're at home, especially when they, aren't at a rest disadvantage. It's a really, really good team over there in Utah, man. They spread the floor, they shoot threes, and they play defense. So yeah, appreciate you guys for tapping in as always. Let's get into today's slate. We don't have a big card. If you're watching over on YouTube, hit the like button for me. Share the show if you can as well. Hit the subscribe button, and you can turn the notification bell on to know when I'm going live if you want to. Let's see what you guys got in the chat. Morning, my guy. Watch this every day at the gym. Yeah, appreciate you being here, Owen. Let's see what else. What up, LJ? Appreciate you being here, bro. Philly Cash. Yep, Philly did cash. What's good? Love the morning show. All right, let's go through it, man. Let's get into it. Let's get into today's slate, man. We got like I said, we got a 4-game card. And this is more so like certain days I'm gonna come on here and I'm gonna be like, yo, I really, really love this play. Take this play. I've taken this play, for 1 unit, 2 units, whatever the case might be. And also I wanted to make sure I mention, if you guys never hear me say how many units I'm betting on the play, it's 1. Okay, so standard is always 1 unit. 1 unit should be 2% of your bankroll, right? So I think that's important to mention as well, because I know a lot of people are new to sports gambling or whatever the case might be, don't know what a unit is, don't know what unit size is. So 1 unit should be 2% of your bankroll. And if I'm telling you that I'm playing 1 unit a play and I don't mention the unit size, it's only going to be 1 unit. I just wanted to make sure I said that. So let's get into today's slate. So we get the Bulls and the Nets. Interesting game, extremely difficult game to cap. More so from just both of these teams not knowing, where they're going to go from where they've been, and then also the injury report. So Ben Simmons missed the game yesterday. He didn't play last night. Seth is questionable. I think it was some injury management type stuff with him. He didn't play yesterday either. But both of those guys could play today. And then for Chicago, we saw the reports yesterday that Andre Drummond is going to be questionable. Zach LaVine and Ayo Dosunmu is also going to be questionable in this game. So that makes the game really hard to cap. This is what I got for you guys. So the Bulls come into the game, a really difficult team to kind of figure out. They're 3-4 straight up at 3-1 ATS. They are the more rested team since Brooklyn did play last night. They started the season off with losses to the Wizards and the Cavs. Then they beat Boston and beat the Pacers. Then they lost to San Antonio and to Philly. So not really a buy-on team for me right now. And then on the opposite side, you get a Brooklyn team, which we know isn't really a buy-on team. They're coming in with winners coming into this game as winners of last night's game over Indiana, which improves them to only 2-5 on the season, straight up. But they're only 1-6. They didn't cover that spread last night. They're 1-6 ATS, and we know how bad they were last year covering spreads, especially when they were at home. This is another home game for them. This is also the last of a 4-game homestand before they travel to DC to take on the Wizards on Friday. It's also a 3rd game in 4 nights for Brooklyn. So not really a spot where I'm looking to back Brooklyn, but with Chicago having so many question marks as well, like that, this is a really, really difficult game. Maybe these guys get ruled in or ruled out early enough so we can actually, figure out a prop that we like. But I would just caution you guys on taking props as well until we find out the injury news. So I don't know. That's what I got for you guys in as far as this game goes. I will say this. So the Nets is home favorites on a back-to-back with no rest. They were just 2-4 last season, and they lost the last 4 games straight out. I'll say that again. When the Nets were home favorites last year on the second night of a back-to-back with no rest, they were just 2-4 ATS. And you can kind of tell early on in the season some of these teams that that just haven't gelled, right? Teams like just guys trying to implement other guys. On one hand, you see the Cleveland Cavaliers, they look great at doing it. Donovan Mitchell's come in and flourished already. But it's going to be interesting to see when they get Garland back how well they can kind of play together, because they didn't get a chance to play together early in that first game in Toronto because Garland got hit in the eye so early. But then on the opposite side, you see guys like this is that we do have to, like, Brooklyn looks bad from an effort standpoint. They're not playing defense. They're not rebounding the ball. But they're also trying to implement guys like Joe Harris back into the lineup, Seth Curry back into the lineup. These guys have never played with Ben Simmons, so trying to get him, acclimated to the offense. So I'm not looking to back teams like that. I'd rather sit and watch those games to see how they, pan out, because you could say, okay, Brooklyn, this is a third game in 4 nights. This is a back-to-back spot. But also, like, they could get Ben Simmons back and Steph Curry in this game. And if they get those guys back, then those guys aren't on the second night of back-to-backs. Maybe that helps them just a tad bit. I'm not rushing to the window to bet this game, though. Even from a total perspective, 233. Totals have been weird so far, and I'm just going to try to collect some data on totals to see if I can find some trends that I want to back. Also, I wanted to mention the Nets were also just 3-11 straight up, 5-9 ATS last season on the second night of a back-to-back. So the Nets don't actually perform well on back-to-backs, specifically at home. And you do get a short number. Like I said, I'm not rushing to the window to bet the Bulls, though, because this is what I got for on the Bulls side. The Bulls are 0-5 ATS in their last 5 road games versus a team with the losing home record. That doesn't make sense that you losing games against home teams that don't play well at home, right? Last season, as away dogs with more rest, because Brooklyn is favored in this game. Last season, last season as away dogs with more rest and an ATS margin of 2 points, because the spread is only 2 or less, teams were 7-9 ATS wise and 7-9 straight up. That's enough for me not to touch this game. I'm staying far away from this game until we get, some updated news. Let me see what you guys got in the comment section before I move on to the next game. Fade all FanDuel boost, man. It can't help. It can help keep you off a play. Yeah, that's a fact. It definitely can. Love Jimmy Butler 3-point ladder today. Hit 4 the other day versus Golden State. He also hit at least 1 in 5 matchups. Okay. Should be a good game at least. Brooklyn always good for a good game. Yeah, I mean, and that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about just watching it, like you said. LJ said Vucevic double, strong lean. Ooh, that could be a look. That could be the look, LJ. We know that Brooklyn doesn't rebound the ball well. And even from an effort standpoint, they came out and they played with a lot of effort yesterday. But a third game in 4 nights, not a spot you necessarily want to back Brooklyn. You could tell they kind of had something early in the game, but we also saw Indiana kind of fight back. So, which lets me know that Brooklyn, they're still not there. I know that they had the team meeting and they apparently were honest with each other, but they're still not there to me. LJ also said Durant over 30 points. He averages 31 versus the Bulls last season. I can see that. It's really difficult to figure out who's going to go off, though, if it's going to be Kyrie or KD. But we know KD is a walking bucket, and this guy can score for sure. If he wants to go for 30, ain't too much you're going to be able to do about it, especially Chicago, who can't they can't really guard anybody. So I like to look on Durant a lot, LJ. Kato, I appreciate you being here, bro. Let's move on, though. Let's move on. Let me get another game. We only got 4 games. I capped 3 of them pretty well. I'm not touching the Magic and Thunder game. I think this could be a take fest. I'm staying far away from that one. You guys have fun with it if y'all want to do something with that game. But let's move on to a game that I do think is interesting. Not that I necessarily, have a strong opinion on, but another game I think is interesting. Let's talk about the Warriors and the Heat. So when this opened up last night, it was actually had Miami at -1. And now I see it down to a pick, right? So money's coming on Golden State, and I also see it at Golden State -1, right? So Golden State -1, Miami -1, and a pick. The books have no idea what to do with this game, and I don't either. But let's talk about it. So total opened at 227, is down to 226.5. I also see it up to 227.5. So, I think it, in that case, it's probably an accurate total, right? Probably getting an accurate total around the board. This is what I got on the game, though. So the Warriors they're coming into this game. They're 3-4 straight up. They're also 0-3 on the road, and I think that doesn't sit well with them. Off 2 straight losses, but then you get Miami off 2 straight losses as well. Golden State's just 2-5 on the season. 2-5. So this will be the 3rd straight road game and their 3rd game in 4 nights for the Golden State Warriors. Also a 4th game in 6 nights. Not a spot I'm really looking to back. They still have Orlando and New Orleans on deck before they return home next week. So this whole week, the Warriors will be playing that long East Coast road trip for them. 5-game, I think a 6-game road trip before they make it back out to the Bay Area. You get a Miami team. They're coming into this game off 3 straight road games. So first game back at the crib. That road trip did not go well for them. They went just 1-2. They did beat Portland in the first game of the road trip when Dame got hurt, but then 2 straight losses to Golden State, and then they also lost to Sacramento on Saturday before traveling back home. So Clay set out the last game, but it's more than likely he'll play. DiVincenzo on the Golden State Warriors continues to remain out as well, which forces Steve Kerr to play Ty Jerome, a lot more minutes. Who I'm a big fan of. Ty Jerome went to UVA, which is right up the street from where I am, but he's food on defense. He can't guard anybody, and we know that Golden State struggles defensively. I think that they have the 8th worst defense right now. Teams are scoring against them, specifically their second unit. When Draymond's not on the floor, Wiseman hasn't been that defensive anchor that I think a lot of teams thought he could be. And Steve Kerr is still going through rotations and trying to figure out, where he wants to put guys. And so I think that's a real thing as well, which, makes it difficult to kind of cap this game. I think it makes it extremely difficult to cap this game as far as a side perspective or a total perspective. Real quick, I wanted to look at Golden State defense ranks 30th. They're giving up 122 points per game. Teams are shooting 47%, which ranks 19th. And teams are shooting 34% from 3. Golden State also isn't rebounding the ball. Their teams are averaging 46 rebounds against them. Golden State ranks 21st at rebounding. We know that they've been a really good rebounding team. On the opposite side, you get a Miami team. Their defense has actually looked it hasn't looked as good as it did last year, but they're okay. They're ranked 11th, giving up 110 points per game. And 3-point wise, they're allowing teams to shoot 39%, which ranks them 26. So 3-point defense has been bad. We know Golden State likes to shoot the 3. Yurt-7 on the opposite side and Victor Oladipo both remain out in this game as well. And then here are the trends that I got for you guys. So the Heat were 12-6 straight up, 9-8-1 against the spread last season in a game where they lost to their previous opponent last season if you take the playoffs out. So in revenge games, they typically do well. 12-6 is a pretty good cover rate. They won those games by average of 1 point. So hence why we have a pretty close spread. Last season, the Heat were also 5-1 straight up and 4-2 ATS, with 5 of those games going over when they were coming off a 3-game road trip as well. So we know most teams, you typically want to fade them on their first game back home. Not the Heat. They actually played well. They were 5-1 straight up and 4-2 ATS in that spot. Additionally, the league-wide trend of all teams coming off a 3-game road trip where they were the more rested team. So the Heat are the more rested team in this spot because they didn't play on Sunday, but Golden State did. Those teams were 36-23 straight up. That's a 61% cover rate. 32, 26, and 1 ATS, which is a 55% cover rate. So if you wanted to back the Heat, those are 2 trends that would back them. Additionally, continuing on, because I looked at this game really, really hard, the Heat were 9-4 straight up, 69% cover rate, 8-5, 62% cover rate, coming off 2 straight losses last season. The Heat, I'm sorry, that was the Heat. So you pretty much could back them, coming off a loss last year. The Warriors, 7-6 straight up, 8-5 against the spread, coming off 2 consecutive losses. So both of these teams did really well coming off 2 losses, and I think that's what makes it a difficult cap, right? The Heat don't want to lose another game at home where they've struggled already throughout this season. Golden State, when you look at the head-to-head matchup, Golden State has beaten Miami 4 of the last 5 matchups, and they beat Miami in Miami last year, although they are only 2-5 ATS in their last 7 games in Miami. Miami only covered 2 of their last 5 spreads against Golden State as well. Golden State, man, they look really, really not like themselves, and I think a lot of it is the second unit. They lost a lot of guys. They could use Gary Payton the second. They could use Bialentia. They could use a lot of those guys that they lost in the second unit. but they're not available anymore. The offense still is doing really well, though. They're ranked first offensively, scoring 118 points per game. So it's not their offense. They're giving up, like I said, they're giving up 122 points per game. Defense ranked dead last. Miami's offense is ranked 26th, though, and their field goal percentage is ranked 25th, and they're only shooting 44% from the field. So it's a lot of conflicting things in this game. Miami's offense is terrible. Golden State's defense is terrible. I don't have a play in this one. One thing I will be looking really hard at, though, is Steph. He continues just to crush his player prop, averaging over 30 points a game. I think 31 points a game so far. I think his point prop sitting at 26 and a half. I expect them to, if they're going to be competitive, a lot of it's going to fall on Steph. I like Steph a lot in this spot. He just, had a really good game against them the other day. And when you look at this Golden State team, they don't have a lot of guys that can score the ball outside of Steph. And, guys like Jordan Poole and Wiggins. So, Draymond and Looney aren't necessarily going out there and getting buckets, and that bench is still kind of coming along. So Steph's been carrying this team offensively. He's done a really good job of it. I haven't made that official play yet, but I'll be looking towards backing Steph in this game, getting his point prop. I want to say I saw it at 26 and a half, like minus 125. So I'll be looking at that. Touch on this last game real quick before we get out of here. Let's see what y'all got. Y'all got man, I'm playing that SGA points and Ventura points. I could see that. Ventura points and Wendell Carter rebounds. I might actually look to take Clay over threes. I could see that too. Only thing I can look towards in a motivated Miami team at home wanting to bounce back off 2 straight losses. I like Bam points or points and rebounds. Warriors are allowing the first most points and 6 most boards to centers. I could see that, Tunde. I like that. Where do you get those stats from? So I use a couple different websites, Charlie. Actually a lot of websites. I get a lot of information from a lot of different places. So DM me on Twitter and I'll shoot you a link to a few of these if you want me to. Wiggins over 1.5 threes made. Haven't hit last 2 games. Could be a bounce back. I could see that. I definitely could see Wiggins bouncing back for sure, especially with Miami defense not looking the greatest. First trip to Miami of the year. Miami nightlife might get to those young Warriors. Hey, Charlie, I think I just feel like Golden State got enough leadership on that team where they're not going to let that impact them, bro. I don't think they're going to let that impact them. Gobert double-double, best prop bet, no Aiden for the Suns. Gobert averaging 5 offensive rebounds a game. Minnesota averaging 14 offensive rebounds as a team. Suns allowing 17 offensive rebounds to Rockets last game with no true center. That's a sharp look, LJ. I might get with you on that one. Rudy Gobert double-double. I was already looking at his boards. I can see that. Steph's points been free all year. Yeah, Steph, we've been cashing on Steph. I missed on him one game in Phoenix when they got smacked up. But, yeah, he's been cashing other than that. Let's go to this last game real quick. I just want to give you guys some information, and we're going to get up out of here because we are almost at the 25-minute mark. So T-Wolves and the Suns, you get a Suns team that's going to be at home. They're laying 5 in this spot. I got a banner for this one, so let me get it up. So yeah, you get a Suns team. They land 5 in this spot against the T-Wolves team. Total opened at 230.5. Let's see if we got any money coming in at all. Yeah, total's going down to 227.5. So some big money coming in on a lot of money coming in on the under in this spot. You get a T-Wolves team that's coming to this game off the loss to the San Antonio Spurs. Somehow they've lost to the San Antonio Spurs twice already after they beat my Lakers in that game on Saturday. You get a Suns team that I think is flying underneath the radar a little bit. The Suns coming to this game. They're 5-1 straight up, 4-2 ATS. They're 4-0 straight up at home. And this will be their fourth straight home game. Not a spot you're looking to fade a team when they've been shooting on the same rim 4 games in a row, right? Last week, they beat Houston, they beat New Orleans, and they beat Golden State all at home and covered each spread too. So they went 3-0 ATS and 3-0 straight up, although they will be without Ayton in this spot, right? So Ayton will be out for a little while. And Phoenix is doing it with defense. They're ranked third in defense. Their offense is also ranked first, which I thought was insane. I didn't know they were playing that well offensively. They're shooting the ball 49% from the field, which also ranks first. So Phoenix has looked good. I do think that you should get a motivated Timberwolves team right here. But the Timberwolves have been hard to cap, man. You lose to San Antonio twice, which, I know San Antonio is not trying to win games, but they also, have Greg Popovich, who isn't necessarily out there to lose games. So I don't know, man. Real difficult game for me to cap as well. Probably just player props. I like what you guys are saying about I think LJ makes a really good point about Gobert double-double, and I only see that going down throughout the day as well. And I'll probably just be looking at Steph props, man. It's been a really volatile start to the season as far as totals and as far as, these teams that should be winning. And the teams that should be tanking aren't tanking either. So, Utah has looked great, and we wanted to fade them. Charlotte, without Terry Rozier and LaMelo Ball, have looked great. And the Spurs. We wanted to fade the Spurs. Everybody that's supposed to be getting Victor Wembanyama has looked great so far. So I'm, probably going to look more towards player props. We will do a show later, of course, as always, 5:15 Eastern time, NBA Crispy Captain show. So you guys come back through for that one real quick. Let's see what we got. I really like D'Angelo Russell to get a block in this game, I think is what that's supposed to say, at 255 on DraftKings. Okay. He's been consistent with blocks and on defense in general, having Townsend Gobert down low, forces bad shots on the wings. Okay. I could see that, DJ. I could definitely see that. But yeah, that's what I got for you guys, man. If you're watching on YouTube, hit the like button for me. Like I said, subscribe to the videos if you haven't already. Every single morning I'm doing these. I'm doing this Cashed It with Chris show. 7:00 a.m. Eastern time. All videos are available to rewatch over on YouTube as well. And then in the evening, the NBA Crispy Captain show, 5:15 Eastern time. Myself, is where I typically give out my official plays. I also typically, bring up the gambling community, who also has really sharp looks as well. I know a lot of guys cashed yesterday. Tunde was on Siakam points and assists, and that cashed easily in that blowout last night. So yeah, I appreciate you guys for being here with me, man. Hit the like button on your way out. Best of luck. Do your homework now, and we'll tap back in later, 5:15 Eastern time. Until then, I'm out, you guys.